Alone in the Dark Illumination is the worst game I've ever played. I'm not alone in that opinion either. The game was widely panned by critics and has a score mostly negative on Steam. There's not many videos about this game, primarily because it seems most people who play it give up on the first few missions because of how fucking bad it is. Here's the thing though, I love you and hate myself. So not only did I make it past the game's opening chapters, I also beat the whole fucking thing. Undertaking such a task was one of the most grueling things I had ever done. But I did it not just for you, dear viewer, but also for the sake of discovery. Advancing through the campaign was like deep sea diving, descending into the dark recesses of the earth, an unseen dimension home to beings for which light was not only unknown, but also served as the antithesis to. The further I went, the more I could feel my psyche come undone, as I laid my eyes upon horrors that man was never intended to see. Deeper and deeper into the abyss I sank, damned by my curiosity. Flanked on all sides by the depth's idiot denizens, I saw as reality itself began to contort into permutations equal parts terrifying and infuriating. What at first seemed like simple design incompetence began to show the signs of intention, the stench of malice. As I reached the point of no return, I was assaulted by a most oppressive revelation. This game's quality was not an accident, but a goal. A profane tribute to beings I do not know and do not care to know. What unholy titan, what perversion of divinity could this game be made in service of? Join me as I discover the horrifying secrets of... Alright, so first things first, we gotta get some of that development lore. The 2008 reboot of the series was released to very middling critical reviews, but actually sold fairly decently. By the only metric that the publisher really gave a shit about, Alone in the Dark was a success, so Eden Games was given the opportunity to begin work on another entry in the franchise. The decision was made early on to go back to the series' roots, straying away from the blockbuster-style extravaganza that the reboot was. The most sensible way to accomplish this was to go back to the haunted bayou of Louisiana, where the series started. Development was started on a full remake of the original game, a total graphical and atmospheric upgrade made to take advantage of modern hardware. Look at that, it's actually dark this time around. Unfortunately, while Eden Games was busy working on the remake, Atari was busy doing what they do best, getting into financial difficulties. The money to support the project quickly ran dry, and the fact that it was supposed to be a classic survival horror title with fixed camera angles probably didn't win any appeal with the executives. Before even an official announcement, the game was quietly canceled. In the strange aeons of the early 2010s though, even death may die. A small studio known as Pure FPS was given the assignment to make a lower budget and lower effort entry into the series. Originally titled Alone in the Dark Online, Illumination was presumably intended to cash in on the trend of co-op horror shooters that was all the rage in a post-Left 4 Dead industry. Like many of the other titles that were part of this wave though, the studio behind the game lacked both the talent and resources to make anything that was anywhere near the quality of Valve's Horde shooter. After like a year of developing the game with a mission statement that I can only imagine was, what if we made Resident Evil 6 but shittier, the game was released with next to no marketing in the week of E3 2015. After a handful of reviews that covered a wide range of scores from 1 out of 10 all the way up to 1.5 out of 10, the game's online was DOA within just a few days, and Alone in the Dark was once again dead and dreaming. The thing about me is that when I like a series, I'll play every game in it, no matter how bad it gets. I also have a fairly strict policy that if I buy a game, I'm gonna beat it. I came very close to breaking that rule with this one. From the main menu screen, I knew that this was gonna be a slog through an ocean of shit. We got a generic main menu with these asset-ripped character models that do these goofy animations whenever you select one. You got 4 campaigns and 4 characters, so I thought it made sense to pick a different character for each one. Before I get into the game proper, here's a story summary. Spooky shit happens in Virginia, the end. That's it. Got it? Good. Let's move on. The longer I talk about this game, the louder the siren song of that 6-pack in my fridge gets. Character 1, the Hunter. Like the other games, this is Carnby. We got a twist though. This is neither Edward Carnby from the originals, who was also Edward Carnby in the reboot, nor is it Edward Carnby from the New Nightmare, who was a descendant of the original. This is Ted Carnby, who is also a descendant of the original. However, it's very heavily implied that Ted Carnby is actually the original Edward Carnby, who is also Edward Carnby in the reboot, but not Edward Carnby from the New Nightmare. Fuck this series. Campaign 1, Minds of Lorewitch. We start out and get acquainted with the Hunter's weapons and abilities. He starts out with a revolver and an M4. Wait, what the fuck, an M4? So we got a private detective just running around solving mysteries and getting evidence for divorce cases with a fucking AR in the trunk? I know dicks tend to carry a piece, but this is a little absurd. This game also has a tacked-on progression system, so you eventually also get access to a Dragonov, which the game calls a hunting rifle for some reason, and a fucking flamethrower. So that's the Hunter. His playstyle basically boils down to has guns. In a survival horror game, that would seem pretty fucking convenient, but this isn't really a survival horror game, at least not much. The game's main gimmick is in regards to its combat. See, the subtitle Illumination isn't just there because someone thought that it might sound catchy, which it doesn't, by the way. It's also there because that's how you kill things. Unless they're near a light source, the enemies in this game are nearly invincible. Hell, some of them are invincible unless near a light source. I'm sure this sounded cool at a studio meeting, but as someone who wasted 10 hours of his life playing this fucking thing, take my word for it, it's not. Speaking of the enemies, let's talk about what they actually are. First, you've got the Rake, who shambles around and does nothing really. Next, you've got the Rake that glows red, who also shambles around and does nothing really. You've got the spiky green Rake, who normally doesn't follow you and prefers to shoot toxic sludge at you from afar, which completely defeats the purpose of the lead enemies to the light to make them vulnerable mechanic. There's these annoying hyena fuckers that make this irritating lightning noise whenever they move, these teleporting dog bastards that I called the sun dogs, and these big pig monsters, which it would surprise me if they weren't just ripped from an asset store. Now that we're acquainted with the enemies, let's get acquainted with the bugs. We've got the usual suspects, graphical glitches, sounds popping in and out, objectives that the game won't detect that you've completed, but the two that I noticed the most were objects that you can just walk through. Well, that might be the least threatening thing I've ever seen. Oh, shit. Can I? Yeah, okay. What? And the hitboxes to interact with key parts of the level were often infinitesimally small. Can I close the fucking door? Oh my god. I just want to close the door. It's literally all I want, game. How exact of a spot do I need to be standing in? Okay, fuck that. All the little details of this game are incredibly half-assed. A lot of the light sources in this game have this blinding glare effect that makes it hard to see. Half the actions in the game have no corresponding sound effect, and the footstep sounds are pulled from Half-Life. I'd play a clip, but my OBS settings got fucked up when I had to reset my computer and I forgot to change them back, so that one's on me. Each campaign except for the last one is mercifully short, only 4 levels each. So I fought my way through 3 generic-ass levels and came to the campaign's finale, if you can call it that. This is a boss fight in the loosest possible usage of the term. Apparently Cthulhu, yes, we're back to Lovecraft, is powered by these floating rocks or some shit, and you have to kill these pigmen who drop the soul stone from Diablo 2. You put it in this bird bath and it makes the rock vulnerable for some reason, then you just shoot it until it dies. First campaign done. Campaign 2, the Graveyard, early Half-Life 2 horror mod looking ass. Character 2, the Witch. Of course she's a goth. Making a visually interesting or unique witch was just too much to ask. No gun, she went to college on the West Coast. West Coast college professors never said shit about lightning bolts though. Like most other things in this game, it sucks ass. Takes 2 or 3 shots to kill most things, which doesn't sound that bad until you realize it takes like 30 full fucking seconds to wind the thing up. It also eats up your magic energy, which you can only get back through pickups that hardly ever spawn, or standing next to light, which is boring as shit. Good job, Pure FPS, you managed to make shooting lightning from your hand feel weak and underpowered. I'm impressed. This character sucks ass. The only positive is that it seems like the lightning does the same amount of damage in light or out of light. Got to the last level and couldn't beat it with her. The lightning bolt literally couldn't kill the pig boys, so I never got the soul stone. Cthulhu got summoned and killed me or something, I don't know, I hate this game. Beat it with the Hunter, which isn't that much easier because the hitbox for the ammo stashes is all fucked up and I couldn't actually use them. If I can get through this video without retreating into alcohol, it'll be a goddamn miracle. Campaign 3, Factory of Fear, we're halfway done, thank God. Character 3, the Engineer. She has a pistol that fires faster than my friend from middle school who had a modded controller. She can also set down mines, which in terms of damage do somewhere between jack shit and fuck all. Like the Hunter, you have to actually use the light mechanic to kill shit, though you can unlock a sawed-off shotgun that makes it so you can totally ignore that mechanic yet again. You're once again going through some mines, like the first campaign. I guess they had already depleted all their creative energy by the second set of levels. Since we're at a lull here, I'm going to take a moment to talk about your constant companion throughout all this, the game's sole source of voice acting, the narrator. At the start of each level, and at several points throughout, a guy with a creepy voice chimes in to drop some half-rate dime store Allan Poe tier monologues that are supposed to be ominous and come nowhere near accomplishing that. The voice actor playing this guy is fairly decent, but the writing is riddled with grammatical errors and misused words. He also has a flub line that got left in, a straight up fuck up that got left in the game for some reason. I gotta wonder how they fucked that up. Someone had to have heard it, right? I don't know, fuck this game, let's move on. 3 more boring levels, 1 more non-boss fight, and then on to the last level. Should be painless, right? That's what I thought, and then they brought out the jumper cables. This level made me violent. After this recording session, I went out and robbed a liquor store. You gotta go through this initial gauntlet of enemies, which is whatever, they're all dumb as shit, so it was easy enough. The problems arose in the basement. Close quarters with 1,000 monsters bearing down on you. If you can't tell, the game doesn't scale the enemy count for single player. Alongside this, it's impossible to pick up any of the supplies down here, and in order to pick up the batteries you need to progress, you need to look at this fucked up angle. Jesus, what the fuck is this game? I crawled out of the basement with some of my appendages still attached and soldiered on forward. It was at this point that I began to wonder whether or not the game was even possible to beat solo. You go through this power station to get to a scrapyard on the other side. Can't open the door because the power's out. Can't turn on the power because the monsters cut off the generator. Can't turn on the generator because the door glitch shut. Fuck! Do it all over again. Repeat the process. The beatings will continue regardless of whether morale improves. Turn the generator back on. The game sucks, so I have to do a jackass mimicry of an Indian rain dance in order to push the button. Make it out to the boss fight. No ammo. Still can't get more ammo. So many enemies. Not enough ammo. Hitbox to pick up the soul stone is fucked up. Hitbox to put it in the bird bath is even more fucked up. Enemies everywhere all around. I keep dying. I keep repeating the cycle over and over, round and round. Watch me do it again. I get close. I get so fucking close. It's almost over. There's a sweetness in the air. God damn, this game is fuckery. Alright, new plan. Fuck the engineer. Try it with the witch. Same result. Watch me do it again. Pick the hunter. He's the old standby. Have to do it all again, over and over. It doesn't stop hurting. They keep turning up the voltage. No matter what I do, the game is still bullshit. But then I noticed something. If you max out the M4, it can disregard the light mechanic. You just shoot a motherfucker and he dies. No song and dance. Max stamina, max damage. It gets easier. I get back to the boss and make 2 more discoveries. I can get ammo from the cabinet if I turn around and look in the opposite direction. How do they fuck that up? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I can consistently pick up the soul stone and put it in the bird bath if I aim in. How do they fuck that up? I don't know. It doesn't matter. So many enemies become so little enemies. When I maxed out the M4, Cain rose up. I have become a vessel for God's vengeance. I traffic in violence. The Rock is dying. I've done it. I've won. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Watch me do it again. All the way back. Do it all again. The voltage is maxed out and I can't even feel it anymore. This boss fight is so fucking stupid. He has one attack that anyone with hands can dodge with no difficulty. If you stand under one of the shipping containers, he forgets you even exist. I just sit there and shoot him. It's boring, it's tedious, but most of all, it's done. Is that a fucking threat? If you think the torture is over, you haven't been paying attention. Remember how I said there were 4 campaigns? That was only 3. There's still one more. There's still one more. By some cosmic act of mercy, it's only 1 level. Character 4, the priest. I don't really know what the fuck he does. I only played him for 1 level. He's got dual magnums which wreck shit and some powers with light that make him do more damage and take less damage. His pistols seem to kill things in and out of the light at the same rate. So wait, from the start, the witch and the priest ignore the light mechanic entirely, and the hunter and the engineer can be leveled up to ignore it, which begs the question, why was it even in the game in the first fucking place? Campaign 4, Escape. I intend to do exactly that. You got 3 ways you can escape, car, boat, or helicopter. I went for the car because it seemed the simplest. This level is just one big playground, but the only thing on it is a broken swing set and monkey bars that have been in the sun all day. You go on a scavenger hunt for the things needed to repair the car. There's this mechanic where you're supposed to manage the park's power level, but I didn't even fucking try to do that. What's the point when my guns just 2-tap everything off the bat? It keeps saying the forces of darkness grow stronger, but they must be growing at the same speed that hair does, because it takes fucking forever for any real amount of enemies to start spawning in. I don't consider that a bad thing though. I'm happy that this shit's easy. I'm ready to get the fuck out of here. So after collecting all the parts, that was it. Level over, campaign over, game over. I can actually see how this level could have been fun. 4 players spread out over the level, scrambling to gather supplies, keep the power on, and get the key items. Kind of like an actual horror movie. The problem, though, is that would require the game to not be made by a studio full of jackasses. I just can't shake it, man. There's this feeling I have in my gut, like there's something more here. I mean, who makes a game this bad? This can't just be incompetence. No one is this brain dead. But if they're not dipshits, that means they knew it was bad. They might have even done it on purpose. But why? Why would someone make a game this bad? I gotta get to the bottom of this. Pure FPS, right? What other games have they made? Some DayZ clone called Nether. They haven't done anything else. They co-developed it with a Chicago-based studio called Phosphor Games. They barely made anything either. I searched the names of several developers, but didn't come up with anything. Most of these people are ghosts, except for one. One of the 3D modelers that worked on Illumination is a man named Thomas Njargaard. Apparently in 2017, 2 years after the game's release, people in his apartment complex began complaining of a putrid stench coming from his apartment room. Upon entering his room, the landlord ran out directly into traffic and was hit by a semi-truck, killing him instantly. When the cops eventually showed up to investigate, they found the other tenants who had gathered to investigate had entered catatonic states. Of the responding police force, only 3 were mentally stable enough afterwards to recount what they saw. Rotting severed limbs decorated the walls of the apartment, with jars full of unidentified fluids lining the kitchen counters. There were no furnishings, no bed, TV, anything. In the center of the living room was a single flash drive. On the flash drive were a series of image files containing photographs of strange, unearthly vistas, watched over by creatures of a size that dwarfs even our tallest skyscrapers. Every investigator on the case reported vivid nightmares concerning these monsters and landscapes. Thomas Njargaard was never seen in the physical world again, but remained ever present in the dreams of those unlucky detectives who were assigned to this mystery. The pictures were eventually found to be digital paintings, not illustrated through traditional means, but instead made using an obscure program called Hypno-S. Forensic programmers found that the program's hex code was literally impossible, not made up of a traditional programming language, but instead containing characters and symbols considered technologically impossible. I got a friend of mine who works in IT to try and data mine the game. You know what he found? It's the same code, made in the same program. Buried deep within the files of the game are the same pictures from the flash drive. My friend is missing now. I can see Thomas Njargaard in my dreams. He looks at me and laughs, his face shifting between thousands of malignant forms that no human language is equipped to describe. This isn't a shitty game. This is a summoning. The outer ones are fueled by hate, by anger, by negativity. Oh God, it's so horrible. This whole video is just helping them. Helping to put more rage and malice into the world. Allowing them to grow stronger and soon enter our world where they'll unleash hordes of garbage games onto an unprepared humanity. I can feel my mind twisting like rubber as I try to comprehend the incomprehensible. Is insanity my only future now? Of course not. It's 2023. I'm not a caveman. I'll just go smoke some crack. So going out of character, I want to take a moment to just really quickly talk about Alone in the Dark, the series as a whole. It's been really interesting to see all the twists and turns that the series has taken over the years. I feel like the relationship between Alone in the Dark and Resident Evil is similar to that of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween. Like Chainsaw did with slasher films, Alone started the survival horror genre, which was popularized by a later entry, Resident Evil, similar to what Halloween did with slasher films. Although the series has very much had its ups and downs, overall I've enjoyed going through these games for the most part. The survival horror genre has made a huge comeback in recent years, between the return of genre staple franchises and the emergence of indie games making their own contributions to the style. Hopefully, with the new Alone in the Dark on the horizon, the series that gave birth to the genre can reclaim its spot in the gaming industry and the balance can be restored. Hey everybody, if you made it this far into the video, I just want to say thanks. It means a whole lot. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all your standard YouTube outro stuff that you hear at the end of every video. And other than that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.